Within the Edit Preferences window, you have the first mode, which is the application mode. The application mode allows you to change the mode from easy to advanced. What this allows you to do is the easy mode will not give you a lot of the tools in this toolbar or the thumbnails to the left. You will have limited options for you to be able to manipulate the 3D rendering. The advanced view gives you all of the options as you're seeing currently. The next one that you see over here is for display MAR volume by default. You can either set it to yes or no, always to display by FDK. MAR stands for the metal artifact reduction for the machines that you have in your office that allows you to acquire using the metal artifact reduction. Also, you will notice you have a default tab at launch. This allows you to change the default tab based on your specialty to what you want it to be. In this case, mine is set to curved slicing tab. So when you do restart the software after you make the changes, it will automatically default to the tab that you would prefer. Also, you have the option to select or deselect, show a preview of the volume while it is loading. Once you are done with that, you can click on Apply, or you can move to the next option, which is the 3D view. The 3D view, you have the availability to either check or uncheck the 3D view, and this is based on the video card performance. If you don't have a powerful enough or a good enough video card, you could uncheck the 3D view. Also, you have the availability to change the rendering prioritization, whether it's speed, quality, balance, and this is all dependent on your computer. By default, you want that to be speed, quality, balance, so that way you can get the best rendering possible. In addition, you have the option for the shading or not shading. Shading allows you to give you a better rendering. The next setting that you see over here is desired rendering technique. The enhanced rendering, hardware accelerated rendering is set up by default. If for any reason you are not able to see the 3D view on one of your computers, you can try setting this to the software rendering, restart the 3D imaging software, and then see if you can see the 3D view as you pull up your scan. In addition, you have the availability to set the tissue limit adjustment, and this is where you will see the adjustments for your 3D rendering as well. The next preference is your color preference. This is where you can choose to select your color for the different views. However, we do recommend to leave the default settings for the axial, coronal, sagittal view, so that way we know when you're calling us in regards to any questions that you may have, which view you're talking about. Again, this is a personal preference. Measurement units allows you to change it from millimeters to inches. However, once again, you want to leave that to millimeter. In addition, you have your measurement font size that you can change from whatever option that you would like. Templates. This is where you can set up your preferences for your templates for printing in whichever view that you'll be printing from. You will notice I have gone ahead and I've set up a template for a custom because that is something that I have created for my purposes over here, which is called the custom US letter white. You can also change that to any of the oblique slicing, custom slicing, and set up the personal preferences of which template you want to print this out of. The layout in the orthogonal slicing tab allows you to change where you view your 3D view. And then you have your review default column count. You can change to however many columns that you would like to see. MPR setting allows you to change the option where if you decide you want to crop the image or reformat the image the moment you open it up on your screen, depending on the machine that you have, you can check or deselect the reformatting tool. In addition, you will see your slicing space. You can change the slicing to however you want to see it as you open up the 3D software. The thickness for the panoramic view is set to 20 millimeters right now for myself. However, we do recommend that you leave it to native resolution. That allows you to see a better image in regards to possibly tracing the mandibular nerve as you are manipulating the scan. The thickness for other views can be set to anything that you would prefer, in which case mine is set to native resolution. You also have the availability to change this or check or uncheck to automatically create an arch as you go into the curve slicing tab. In addition, the auto region of interest and volumes bigger than 30 millimeters, you can once again change that to your own preference. View orientation allows you to view the scan how you would like to view it, whether you want to view it from the top, view from the bottom, dorsal view, frontal view, left to right, or right to left. The view order in split views allows you to see or pretty much allows you to test your wheel, or you want to let the software know how do you want your wheel to react as you are manipulating the scan. In which case, for the axial view, it's from top to the bottom, or you could choose bottom to top. Coronal, same thing, which is the anterior to posterior or posterior to anterior. Sagittal, right to left or left to right. Panoramic, external to internal, internal to external. Oblique, right to left or from left to right. Anterior, posterior, posterior to anterior, anterior to posterior. Lateral, internal to external or external to internal. Now, as you will notice, there's a little bit of a disclaimer over here. This will also change the navigation direction and slice order of the slices generated by the DICOM snapshot and slicing tools. The export option or the preference allows you to specify a certain folder on your network or on your computer, in which case you can always select, if you prefer, save a copy in the specific folder when you're doing your screenshots, and then you can browse to where you want to specify that folder where those screenshots go. In addition, you want to make sure that when you're creating those screenshots to specify a file type, in which case the most commonly file type is JPEG, which is what I have mine set to, but you can choose any of the other options that you would prefer. For the DICOM snapshot, you get a prompt. When you select it, you can select or deselect for that prompt to show up. USB and CD export, volumes to export. By default, you can choose the FDK and MAR. And once again, for those of you that don't see these options, it's just that you're not on the current version of the software, which is the 3.10.10. And then you have the option to prompt you to ask the volume type to export. Implant allows you to change the color of the abutment or the restorative space. You can also choose the default length of the restorative space. Visibility. These are your checkboxes that you can choose to check or uncheck, in which case you have your implant visibility, which you want to see when you place it, your abutment. If you don't want to see the abutment space, you can uncheck it, the axes, the restorative space, and the security box. The security box allows you to see a red marking around the implant, letting you know if you're too close to possibly the nerve that you placed or too close to the cortical plate on either end. Display third-party export disclaimer is just an option where you can check or uncheck that option if you don't want to use it. Annotation, this is where you can change or specify your annotations or your predefined annotations. In order to do so, you would select the plus. This is where you can specify the name and specify the caption, which is by default. Now you have the option once you click on save for you to be able to select the predefined annotation when you are either printing or in the review tab. You also have the option to select delete if you did not want to save the predefined annotation. The implant planning report, this is where you can specify your template. You can also specify the slice count, the slice thickness, slice spacing, mode, which is the average, or you can set it to maximum intensity projection, which is the MIP mode, that will only be active or be able to see it when the slice is thicker. You can also choose or not check or uncheck prompt for description or include 3D views. View cephalometric images allows you to set up your preferences in regards to the lateral if you want by default to create a lateral view, a lateral right, lateral left, frontal, or submento vertex. Once again, this is your personal preference. You can choose based on your specialty of your practice. The Airway allows you to either create your own area of your millimeters that you can set up. If you did, you can specify your number right here, select the plus, and then you would have a separate setting right under here when you are doing your airway analysis. In which case, if I just specify 10 and I select add, you will notice now I have a 10 millimeter, which is the color that I have specified. Within this, you can choose as to how far you want this to be. If you did not like it, you could delete what you don't see or what you don't want to see in regards to the millimeter thickness of the, not the thickness, but the color. I'm deleting in this option. The last but not the least is the tutorial. The tutorial allows you to either be able to see the tutorial. If you don't want the option to show up by default where the tutorial comes up, you can uncheck it. Same thing applies for the model and the facial scan. At this point, you could select apply and OK, and that should save the changes. Please remember, you will now need to close out of your 3D imaging software for the changes to take place.